my friend, today we're going to be talking about the circle of fifths. Now, I'm going to use this clever board to draw it out. If you have your own dry erase markers and board at home, do it. Or get a piece of pencil, and try it for yourself there. So, circle of fifths, first thing I want to do is put C right up top at 12 o'clock. Then everything else commences. What is the circle of fifths used for? There are a lot of channels out there that have like 45-minute videos that talk about all sorts of things, like what to put where, how to use it in a musical sentence. It tells you about relative major, relative minor, tells you about how to see different shapes, and when you switch the shapes, you get different things. Don't worry about that right now. Very simply said, ask questions on this. Even if it's not live, put it in the comment section. We will get back to you and answer those questions. Simply said, this is the way I teach the circle fifths. I hope you dig it. C, D, E, F, G. When we go to G, we now have one sharp. That sharp is going to be F sharp. The reason why I throw this F here is when we go this way, we're talking about the circle of force. Meaning, circle of force, go 4 notes away. C, D, E, F. Wonderful. So this F has one flat. This is the way that we go for the flats. When we go the other way, we are going for the sharps. Meaning, all of these have a tone which goes from light to darker. You could go all the way around the circle of fifths and say, what's 5 notes away from X? Let's do it. G, A, B, C, D. D, E, F, G, A. A, B, C, D, E. E, F, G, B. When we get here, we have another F. This begs to stop and talk about why we go through the circle, and when we talk about what sharps are added onto it, why we call them by name. So, going over to a piano, because sometimes that's just really the best way to show this. When we play middle C, or C3, or C2, or C1, each one of these are octaves. The note itself on a piano can't really be played with itself in unison, but many other instruments do. This is called the prime. When we have the one note, we know that in the key of C major, there is a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. When we play them 3 notes apart and we find the stable notes that are in each one of these keys, we have a 1, 3, 5. Well, that's what a triad is. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. When we keep doing this, we get triads that go through all 7 spaces of the diatonic scale. Meaning, simply, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do. So when we play harmonies, they either sound wonderful like consonants, or they sound kind of tension building like a dissonant. We go through the process of seeing this on the piano or on the instrument of choice just so we can see this awesome revelation. In the key of, gee golly whiz, running out of juice. In the key of C major, as we aforementioned, there are no sharps and no flats. So the 1 chord C, the 2 chord D. When you keep going on, so on and so forth, each one of these builds out to spell the key of C major. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Now these are what we call the family chords. The family chords, they just talk about what the notes are in each one of these keys. The aforementioned way of doing this is to say C, D, E, F, G. No sharps and no flats. When we get to G, there's one sharp. That sharp is F sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Awesome. That's how I spell G. Now let's just go to the next key. G, A, B, C, D. Now, we didn't say F sharp in there because it's not part of the first 5, but now we're in the key of D, which now has 2 sharps. F sharp and C sharp. So when we say D major, we say D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Both of these carry over to A, but now we add G sharp. So when we say A major, that's too low for me. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. We added those sharps on. Notice when I went to here, I said D, E, F sharp, G, A. I kept in mind that we already have an F sharp in this whole dictation. When we go to E, A, B, C sharp, D, E. E has 4 sharps. F, C, G, D. When we say E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, D sharp diminished, we are talking about the key signature for the key of E, and those are its family chords. Just like C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But when we play this, we're talking about moving these tones by a whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Meaning, when we do that in the key of E, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. That's an E major scale. It also shows you what those tones are by a whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That's what we call an Ionian mode or a major scale. This, when we take a little guy and put a little box, maybe an imaginary box around all of this to the B, that's a great way to shift that box around and see which scales basically are major scales, Ionian. The takeaway from this little concept that I'm trying to talk about right here is when we see that we're going through the process of E, E negates the B, meaning no sharps, 1 sharp, 2 sharp, 3 sharp, 4 sharp, 5 sharp. And when we do like 5, we say, what are those sharps? F, C, G, D, and A. So when we say B major, we say B major, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, E major, F sharp major, G sharp minor, A sharp diminished. That's how we get good at understanding these 7 notes diatonically can be in these key signatures. One of the things we like to also represent is which one's the prime. When playing music, like let's say we're playing just a little ditty in the key of C major on the ukulele. C major negates the D minor, and then E minor, F major, G major, the A minor. G7 is like a B diminished on a ukulele. And back to C. Each one of these chords allows me to move. If I was playing a groove like a 1-4-5, can't see the colored markers? Right on, good call. I get new black markers today. I'll rewrite everything in black. Thank you. So, thanks for being here, by the way. When we're going through this last chord structure, if I wanted to change to a key, I could throw in the relative minor of the key I want to go to. We were just playing in C. Let's say we want to go to the key of A. Well, A, B, C, D, E. So an E7 sounds a whole heck of a lot like a G sharp diminished. And then I could go into A and do the 1, and then I could go to the 4, A, B, C sharp, D, and then to the 5. That's how we flawlessly move from one key to another, and that's called taking one prime, or one tonicified note, and then changing it to another key by means of a modulation, and what you're actually kind of doing is you're transposing it in real time. So one of the things we like to talk about is how to see these things. We've already got our prime there, and as we're talking about, these are our flats, these are our sharps, and then F is going to be the beginning of our flats. And I do apologize about these markers here. They are horrible. When we do the circle fifths, we go that way towards the sharps. When we do the circle fourths, we go this way. Continuing on, we have an E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and then we have a C flat. Now, I'm just going to write these together. G flat. Because when we use these, it keeps going through the process of the sharps all the way around. The only one we didn't really get to was explaining how the reason why when we go to our F sharp here, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F. Well, now F becomes F sharp. What this does when you use the mechanism I'm showing you allows you to see the F sharp has 7 minor seconds, meaning the shortest distance in the Western ear is this. It goes from any note to a direct next note. This little dissonance or this augmentation or this little dissonance as a diminished doesn't matter which way you go, up to augment or down to diminish, that still represents having a half step or a minor second. That is the smallest distance in the Western ear. So what we're seeing is that is our T-do. It's also our 3 to 4 in every major scale. What the circle of fifths allows you to do is to see that in real time. So, when going through here, and we keep going through, we've got our C, our G, our D, A, E, B, F sharp. Then we have a C sharp. Sorry about the colors here. I just don't have any other markers which work profoundly well. C sharp right here. C sharp's the same as a D flat. It's called an enharmonic equivalent. We've got our F sharp and G flat. They're the exact same thing. And then a B and a C flat. Now when we say these, we go grammatically correct. Meaning we don't say one thing twice while talking. So we don't do it with music. So I wouldn't say C, D, E, F, G, A, C flat, C. 1, what happened to B? Because there's only 7 notes. And 2, why would I say C twice? Crazy. So going through the process of seeing this, it allows us to go, hey, what am I using this circle of fifths for? We know at this point our sharps are this way and our flats are this way. When we go 4 notes away, it gives the prime and it gives the relative minor, meaning all the notes in the key of C are the notes in the key of A. When you spell that, all you're simply doing is converting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. Here's what it looks like on the piano. And again, we can do this on any instrument. If you're at home playing, grab your instrument and do it as well. When we have a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C major, A minor. Well, let's take a look at A major. And by the way, all music on a certain level, when doing chord analyzation, is viewed through the eyes of the major. Well, looking at the board, we see C major, no sharps. When we go to G major, there is 1 sharp. That sharp is F sharp. Going up a fifth, we get a C sharp. So when the key of D, we have D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Now those of you who do play piano know that all of your white keys, they all start with the thumb and they have 1, 2, 3 under. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Except for F. It has a 4th finger and then under. So when we go through seeing this, we have to move these notes accordingly that charismatically will hold the function of having the note that's in the key. I can't just play an A minor in the key of D because the A minor doesn't have a C natural. In the key of D, we have a C sharp. Therefore, A major is the triad that's derived by having a mediant that is a major third and a minor third. When we make a chord a minor, we're changing that stacking of a minor third and then a major third. A to C sharp, major third. A to C, minor third. So going through all the keys and hearing what dissonances are and hearing what consonances are and then being able to put those in one key is basically the idea that you were trying to do with all music. So, when talking about seeing A major, we have A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and then back to A. With those notes, if we take the 1, the 2, the 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7, and we flatten the 3rd by diminishing it a half step, we flatten the 6th and the 7th by also diminishing them a half step. We then get the spelling of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That is the exact same as C major. Therefore, when you have a key signature that has no sharps and flats in the staff, that's how you know you're in the key of C. We'll do an example here just through the key of A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top line F, second to top space C, and then right above for top space on the treble clef. That is what a signature for an F sharp minor or an A major is. Why? Because in the key of A, our major 6th here makes a minor chord. That's also a very relatively hard concept in the beginning while trying to learn a little bit of music theory. The concept is this. Each one of these has a signature name along with those 7 notes. Scales are just a family of chords. Now, our family chords are our diatonic in the Western ear. However, there are different scale systems which deal with something called microtonal steps, which means it's not just a half step. There are actually notes in between minor seconds. It's just in the Western ear, we don't hear that often. If you want any example, you could check out pretty much any Eastern ear, Raga's work. Maybe check out Sean Lane if you like jazz fusion, Aga of the Ladies, Jonas Hellberg, so very, very fun and good. With just our diatonic movements here, there are notes in between. We aforementioned that between the 3 and the 4 and between the 7 and the 8, or the perfect octave, P8, you have half steps. So whole, half, whole, half is the spelling of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When we want a minor, we have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. These things, when you talk about them over and 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 over, then they begin to start making a little sense. So what we want to do is concentrate on not the confusion that the circle brings, but one thing at a time. Little recap for the first diatribe on here. C major, no sharps, no flats. Its relative minor is 4 notes away on the circle. That's one function of understanding how to view it. The other way we can view it is you can write the relative minor on the inner circle if you want. I've seen that done a million times. I enjoy that concept, but what I find is if you write A minor, E minor, B minor, F sharp minor, it gets a little jumbled here, but the idea is you're not just going to be writing this once or twice. If you write it every day once or twice for 6 months, you will know the circle fifths inside and out. All the functions I'm talking about right here, you will be able to understand, and you could look at any college level course and start doing chord analyzation, because that's the foundation of what we're talking about. Having the names of root or tonic or prime for A means that the note that's in betwixt A and B, there is a minor second in there, is an A sharp when we augment it and go up a half step. If we flatten that B and go to a B flat, A sharp is a B flat. If we kept going here, well, let's go in 5s. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp. Cool. A flat is G sharp. G, A, B, C, D. D sharp is E flat. D, E, F, G, A sharp is B flat. Circle fifths keeps going, but sometimes we just don't write them past there because we want to view the flats. Also, a couple of these keys are called hypothetical keys. The only real notes that we could utilize in the process of having music is we have a single note. This single note can either be a natural note, which looks like this. It could be a sharp note, or it could be something called a double sharp. Little X with 4 dots. The other way we could go is we could also have a flat, and then we could have a double flat. These are our ways of explaining what these look like. This to this is a perfect fourth. When we go from here and we go to a D sharp, it is a sharp 4 or a flat 5. That would make this kind of augmented fourth, and that makes it feel like it has tension. Here's what it looks like. Let's show it on piano. Here's just what a key we in. A major, so we have. When we take that 4th note and we go up, it causes us to have a little bit of movement. Watch this. Ooh-wee! I love that sound. And I find these to be fun passing chords. So A major, when we take that D note and we make it a D sharp, wowee, gives us a modus called Lydian, and I love it. It's the actually it is the lightest of all the modes, but we're not really talking about modes here today. As far as these notes go and being able to read a key signature, knowing what the relative major is and the relative minor, that is one of the first key points of doing this circle. You could do it 2 ways, remembering that the A, if you go to hear the F, it's a D minor. Another good way to do it is the F sharp would be D sharp minor. If you remember a C has A minor, then C sharp must have a A sharp minor. You go through the process of seeing these in the best way we can, and then it's not, as I said, it's just not just a a daily thing. If you do this for like a month or so, you do get the hang of this. Plus, once you get a little tidbit of knowledge, share it with somebody. Teaching it always solidifies it. You find little ways to explain it that are different than other ways, and it really helps to like go full circle on a concept. Haha, pun. Didn't notice it until I said it. So, let's pick another prime. How about F sharp? So if we're going to throw F sharp up here, I'm just going to write them all. We've got F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. Nice. I wish this was darker for you folks. I'm going to get some markers. Foul on my part. All right, so going through here, how many sharps does the key of C have? None. How many does the key of G have? It has one, the F. So we go to G, we mark the note right before it as being a sharp, and we're golden, pony boy. Boom, sharp or doozy. G, A, B, C, D. D has two sharps, F and C. So we go right before it, that half step, Tito. When we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, circle of fifths, what's right before it? You betcha, the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. E has four sharps, that is, though, these are them, those are these. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we go through one more time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, B has five sharps, ta-da, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we now find the F sharp has 6. Another really fun mechanism that I show all students of all ages that just can't wrap their heads around this is, how many notes are there in the diatonic scale? 7. How many sharps and flats are in the key of F sharp? None. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many notes are there in a scale? 7. Take away those 6, and you get 1. There is 1 flat in the key of F. If we were to take the key of A, we already did it up here. A has none, 1, 2, 3. F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. How many notes are in a scale? Right? Take away the sharps in the key of A. How many flats in the key of A flat? 4. You betcha. Works every single time. If you go do it the opposite, how many sharps or flats are in the key of E flat? None. 1, 2, 3. Cool. There are how many notes? 7. Take away 3. Oh, there are 4 sharps in the key of E. Ta-da! It's a quick mechanism that helps you in the beginning. All the things that I just said, plus that mechanism, plus note cards and writing down the key on one side, flipping it over and having all 7 diatonics written out there. If you do this every day for 5 minutes, I guarantee you will have this down pat. And why is this helpful? Because when somebody's playing something, let's say like a groove in the key of what's up on the board, we could do F sharp. That's actually a little too hard to do. How about let's just throw it through the key of C. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If we've got a central theme, harmonies, minor third, perfect fourth, minor third, major third. And I wanted to do like a little melody like knowing where the relative minor is, it's fun to move it down to that A and do the same thing with the other hand. Why? Because C major and A minor have all the same notes. You can't really go wrong when doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. My personal favorite to do is omit the 4, omit the 7, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. The 1 is the same as the 1, la, 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 but these are the 5 notes of the pentatonic. When we play C, D, E, G, A, we get a very cool feeling. So, another great thing to do besides just the major and then the relative minor is to play through the chord progressions and replace keys. In our family keys, the reason why family chords are super fun and important is we're just playing in the key of C, right? Well, the family chords that we have are these. It has the relative minor of A, it has the relative minor of E, it has the relative minor of D. So quite literally, all of these done in function, major, minor, diminished, that is a major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you shift it, it just changes the key. So, a lot of times you'll have songs that don't stay in the diatonic keys, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They go outside of the diatonic keys, but the idea is, how very far off is a B flat really from a C? Well, let's look at it. In the key of C major, we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our chords flow to this resolution or this lending tone or leading tone. No matter how you play it, it builds tension, and then it wants to resolve to the 1. So, what happens when we take that B and make it a B flat? Well, we're not going to play it like a diminished, because the diminished would actually just want to go into the next chord, the B major, because that B flat diminished would actually be an A sharp diminished going into a B. So what we're looking for is just to play a major chord. None of the different melodies you have are going to conflict with this. So if you've got a 1 and a 5, your B flat and your F, and you've got your sus, it's not going to conflict with it. Listen to what it sounds like as a resolution. Not too terribly bad, huh? You could even put it in a standard type of It works. It's not my favorite. It's called a backdoor resolution. That's how I would use the B flat from the key of F to play in the key of C. It's like borrowing it. Generally, when you see a dominant chord or something that maybe looks like this, how about like a C sharp dominant? That C sharp 7, we should know if F sharp has a C sharp, that must mean that F has a C. So in the key of F sharp, the dominant is the C sharp 7. In the key of F, the dominant is the C7. We know this as having the dominant here because it holds a little bit of tension. Most chords are going to want to go from the tonic, or most progressions, to the sub, to the dominant, which is why a lot of music that we hear will do some sort of functionality of this. How about in the key of D? That F sharp, as a diminished, goes to G. The F minor still can go to a G. In the key of D, because F sharp, E minor, our F sharp minor feels good as our minor 3 chord and then our 4 chord. But what happens if you were to just take that F sharp minor and make it an F sharp major? If you could write a melody line over the top of a transition from D, E to an F major, maybe you listen to a lot of Steely Dan, and that's your thing. It just depends. Having a little thing in your vocabulary bag and being able to explain what this is also a really grand thing. So, circle O fifths. The whole reason why we do this is to get used to writing the circle fifths. So, what do we do when we get done doing it? You erase it, you write it all over again. If you have any questions and you're watching out there about what the circle of fifths can do and how to use it, let's give it an example through the eyes of music. Yeah, sorry about the non-colored markers. I'm going to see if we can see the darker ones. See if I can do a dark green. Lonely as the night. So, If somebody's out there in TV land and wants to shout out a key signature, I would love to hear it. I'll write a song so we can show what this is in real time. Again, just going to write up the circle of fifths. C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp. Going the other way, got an F, B flat, A flat. Right here, C sharp is a D flat, so I'm just going to write it in there. Wee-oo. And then G flat is an F sharp. Wee-oo. And then a C flat is a B. Boom. And if we need to see that again, and harmonically, here's what it looked like. If we played our C again, I wouldn't name this C flat, but it is C flat. Well, when we go to the other ones like C sharp, this C sharp actually is a D flat. E sharp is an augmented. D flat is the diminished. Well, it does that for each one. F sharp. F sharp, when we sharpen F, goes to G. Well, this is a G flat. So the concept is we only really use these in keys when we want to name chords of the 7/7 tones. Generally, almost 99.9% of the time, if not 100, we don't use a note named twice. You would actually just use a note, put it on there, and put either the aforementioned sharp, double sharp, flat, or double flat, if needing to do that. Double flats are used in a very rare situation for our compound modes, if you will, where they have different feelings of where the whole step and the half step lie in a scale or a family grouping of tones. So going through here, the process, I know that C has an A minor. I know that F has a D minor. A B flat has a G minor. That's a great way to see the circle of fifths, to see your minors. Relative minor, I'll just put that over here. Relative. Did that. Our prime in this case, well, let's pick a key. Anybody put anything down? All right, I'll pick it. We're going to do it in the key of G. So G major has how many sharps? Our prime is here. Well, if we draw our box around this here, we would have this, right? That's what our mission is. That tells us that the chords that we're going to be using are the 1 chord, the prime. We're going to have the 2 chord, which is going to be the subtonic. We're going to have the 3 chord, which also, if you watch these Roman numerals, uppercase, major, has a 1, 3, 5, major third, minor third. When we go to the secondary, the subtonic, it flattens that third, so it makes an A minor. B minor, we go up to the 4th, which is always right next door. We go to the 5th, which is the subdominant, if we want to use that, and the subdominant's going to sound like our diminished. After this, we're going to have a big old jump to our relative minor, which is our 6th chord. And then the last chord, of course, after we do our minor here, is our diminished. That's our 7th. So very nice. Using these chords spells out what our family is. Remembering to put a diminished sign and the sharp on the F, because it's now an F sharp. If we did not have that, what we would have is a 1, a 3, and a 5. And let's say we move this over a half step and we add an F. What we're simply talking about is seeing that through the eyes of changing the tonality of a major 7th in the key of G. Sounds like a really nice... Days go long, longer than they should. Sounds like it's going to dry out into something very pretty. When we flatten that to an F, that gives us a 1, 3, 5, and then it gives us a minor 7th, not the major 7th. Now, if you look at it through the eyes of just triads, it looks as if we have 2 chords stacked. We have a G major, and then we have a B diminished. Well, the reason why a G7 sounds like a B diminished is because you're adding that one tone or that one note that would complete the triad in the key of C as being the diminished. When we use these notes as the F here, it would make a chord called a G7. And I think we're going to use that one here in a little explanation on how to change chords and use the circle of fifths with family chords. So let's write up our little stands. If you've never seen this before, this is kind of how you just write out quick charts if you're playing music with a couple people. You want to put something down, this is it. Let's see, we'll do it in common time, 4/4, double bar to start our whole reference. We're going to throw out, let's just do a 1, 4, sus 5, 5. I'm going to put a double bar to end this, and I'd like to repeat it so this goes over and over and over again. Ta-da! That's our little mechanism. If we were to play that out loud, maybe on the ook here. What is this? We got a G major. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Oh, I did that differently. That's not the way it's written. Here's the way it's written. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we threw this out at the BPM of like 120 plus, I would probably be doing like. Something along those lines. What could we do besides that to jazz this up? Here's what I'm thinking. Maybe we can take this secondary line. Can we see that? I know it's a little light. Take this secondary line, and maybe we could do the relative minor of G. Cool. What's the relative minor of G? Boom. E. What's the relative minor of C? Boom. A. D. Oh, B minor. Now here's where it gets interesting. We don't call minor chords sus chords. Meaning, when we have a triad and we replace the third for the fourth, it feels as if that chord is raised above our head, kind of floating. When we use the 2, it also sounds that way. Like there's a undefined resolution. Excuse me. Excuse me, please. So when we have a C major, C sus, C major, C sus, we're talking about, oh, that sounds like Billy Joel. She could kill with a smile. She can get Anyway, 4 chord, 2 chord. That's all it is. But when we change our third, and we diminish it by a half step, we no longer call that a sus. There is no such thing as a C minor sus. We would just call it a 9. So here, the relative minor, we get a B minor, writing it with the dash to represent minor. When we don't write anything, we would have a major. So I'm going to throw those dashes. That's just jazz notation. And then when we go through this again, we have this right down to the B minor. Now, let's hear what it sounds like to see if it gives it any legs. Keep with the fast meter? Sure. Gonna do a repeat on that just because it says it. Here comes our E minor, A minor, B minor. Now that B minor 9, what are we going to do there? It's the same note. Right? It adds over the top of it, which is fine. We can have that note there. On here, our 9 chord, right here, moving it through. If we wanted to play a different chord over the top of it, we could. But the feeling of it is we want to have that kind of like suspense feeling and then resolution. I would say B minor to a B minor 7 feels better there. So just B minor and then B minor 7. Now what is this? I just moved the notes where they were. So instead of having our E minor, and again, you can play E minor like this. You could go all the way up here and play E minor like that. Anything you want to on your given instrument. Just depends on the inversion where you're putting the note. So if I was playing this E minor, the lowest note on the ukulele would be the E. That's in root position. If I were to move this to here, still in root position, but now it's got an open G. I use this for legato phrasings that are nice and open and flowing, and I use this for staccato, stuff that's short and attached. When going up and playing the E minor up here, I've still got this E down here, but switching around to here, that's when I changed it now. E, F, F sharp, G. I've just changed it to the minor third. So this feeling could be rather than going to the B7 here, I think maybe doing a D sus to a D again. So what I would do here is I would put 1 right here, a repeat, little bars, and then on the second time true, we'd be doing the D sus again to the D. I'm gonna put a double bar there, and I'm gonna make it real dark because that's when I want to end this segment, or at least this portion. This is what I would call my A form. So I would put a big old A right here, put a box around it, and if I wanted to do the same thing, I could also put an intro box right here and put a double sign. It just kind of does it over again. So sometimes I like to vamp on the beginning. If this is in the key of G, we would vamp on something that's kind of relative. So how about a D7? And then go into it. That's how I would write an A form for something. If I found that I was just too busy, didn't like it, the melody that pops out of my brain while humming along with it isn't great, I'll walk it on over to the piano, play that same thing. Just by going through the A form, when I sit down, this is how my brain works, I automatically go, okay, if that was the A form, well then I'm gonna throw a B form out there. My next form would have a box here. I do the same thing writing this out. I put it down just a little bit so I would diversify. And it looks like I did an E minor to a D major to a C. That could be my little turnaround. I could do that over and over and over. Actually, I think I did 2 notes there. I did to a D, and then a C, and then it went back to D. Pretty sloppy. Anywho, I guarantee you next week I'm gonna have new markers. Hey, I hope you had a good time today. What we covered in this was a little bit far-fetched, but let's do a little recap. This is how you do chord charting. The reason why I did chord charting in the key of G is because I knew where my prime was. The reason why I knew where my prime was because I knew where it was as a root or a tonic on the circle fifths. I learned it in the key of C, which means when I moved to the key of G, I know that G has 1 sharp, that sharp is F sharp, onto which I can use in all of my chords. When I play it on piano, bass, guitar, cello, anything, it's always going to be the same. Notes are notes. Knowing that this is a major third and a minor third gives me a triad. All chord families are built off of 7 very distinct chords, and then you could swap those out with the chords that are near other families. So doing this, if I was playing this little groove of the a B flat in there to an F. Ooh-wee! Why? It's so super close to these. In the key of G major, you already have a B minor. Making it a B flat also feels good. So if you had all we're doing is the push and the pull of frequencies which have a pull on our psyche and tells us either to run away or to enjoy it and hug it. The idea for music is it allows me to express myself through these means. By knowing what the circle fifths is just on a basic level, it gives you the spelling of the family of chords, which you can put together on your instrument of choice, and then you can put rhythms and melodies and different notes to it and make something yours. Also, this process helps you to hear music that you've always loved and kind of analyze it so you could take away the key features and then add those functions into your playing. I hope you enjoyed today. I really enjoyed doing these. If you do, subscribe, put a thumbs up, put something cool in the comment section, and Next week, we're going to be talking about a recap on this, and we have a nice new fun subject. We're going to be talking about the circle fifths again, but tune in to see